Since the first day my wife and I moved into this house, we've been holding back on making this flex room something special. It unofficially became our clutter room. Don't have a spot for an item? It goes into the clutter room. Too many extra blankets in the house? The clutter room. Unopened Amazon packages? As you probably guessed, clutter room. This room was a mess. At least until, well, now. We spent the last 3 months changing this room up how we know best. For me, that meant shoving as much tech as I can into it. My only requirement was to fit a desk and add some tech into it. And this is what I came up with. Let's get started with a little tour. First, I want to point out that the purpose of this video is to showcase what I came up with, give you guys some inspiration for laying out your own desks, and walk you through some of the pain points of putting this desk setup together. If you want to see how we came to the choices or how we put this entire room together instead of, just the desk, check out my wife's video up here. Well, up here. That video would have a lot more information on it. My main focus today is more about this desk and the tech aspects of this room. Either way, we wanted to turn this room into a game room and secondary workspace while maintaining whatever pieces we can, because we all know things cost money. And when you start spending money on tech and furniture, that's when it starts to get really expensive and not so fun on your wallet. So of course, I was in charge of teching it out. So my tech focus for this room was this. We needed this room to be smart. The idea is to be able to automate whatever we can within reason. We also needed a dedicated desk space to finally make a nice home for the gaming PC I built nearly a year ago that still hasn't found a permanent spot in this house. And the desk should function as a secondary workspace just in case the studio is, too cluttered with filming gear to properly use, or just in case I want a change of scenery. And lastly, the desk has to be minimalist, or at least clean enough that the cables and messes don't make the space feel cluttered, because with the space we had to work with, we already knew the desk was going to be small. Since we're keeping our major furniture pieces, like the TV and this sectional that literally takes up 40% of the room, the desk we wanted would have to be with some compromises if we wanted it to fit in this room. On this wall, the desk is neatly tucked away, but when in use, can block someone from entering through the door. That's a compromise we were willing to live with. If we wanted to put it on any other wall, it would be even more cramped, and that ended up being the best solution. Will I regret that decision? Time will tell, but honestly, I'm already a little annoyed with it. The desk had to match the theme of the rest of the room: natural wood, white, and dark neutrals like a dark gray or black. And because I loved having the stained butcher block countertop on the standing desk in the studio, we repeated the process by buying a butcher block countertop from Lowe's, and rather than stain it, we cut it down to our desired size, sanded it down, and applied some matte polyurethane, giving it this nice natural look to it that matches the rest of the decor in the room. It was my first time sanding it and coating it myself, and there are some imperfections in it, but I think it ended up really good. I then mounted the countertop to some cheap standing desk legs off Amazon, and I reused some monitors that were luckily both the same size. Because this desk would be used for both video work and gaming, a 1440p 144Hz monitor and 4K monitor combo gives us the best of both worlds. Now, this next fact is unintentional, but I've been buying LG monitors, and luckily the front of most LG monitors look the same. So aesthetically, they mostly match. Just don't look behind them. They look a little mismatched, and I'd like to hide that fact from people. Just keep that a secret between me and you. The monitors are mounted on Vivo monitor stands straight off the most exclusive, fanciest retailer on the internet, Amazon. And the Shure MV7X microphone is mounted on a blue Compass mic arm. I don't really like the look of typical mic arms because they look really busy, but the blue Compass looks more minimal and hides most of the cables that run from a mic down the length of the arm. Cables for everything used on the desk is mounted to the underside of the desk using these cable organizers with adhesive backing. The complex part of cable management for a standing desk is that you need to make sure that everything stays on the desk and isn't yanked by the desk when you increase the height. So you really only have two different options to go around this issue. The first one is make sure all your cables are long enough to be plugged into the ground at standing height. This could make a huge cable mess on the bottom of your desk, but at least your monitors won't be yanked off the desk. Or the second option is to stick a power strip with the long power cord to the bottom of the desk and plug everything into that. I stuck my power strip down with some double-sided tape and used a ton of cable organizers to keep the cables in check. At this point, you may be thinking, that's a nice desk, but there's no PC in sight. The PC is actually on the other side of the room by the TV, but how did it get over there? And why did we put it over there? Well, if you think about it, since this desk is so small, if we wanted to put the computer on there, it would make the desk space way too cramped. And ideally, you don't want to place the computer on the ground either, so this entire space over here was a complete no-go. And it's such a pretty computer with rainbow puke all over the fans. So it ended up being in the area of the room where it can be on display, and because it's not near the desk, it increases the amount of usable space on and underneath the desk in case I want to spread my legs. Not in that way, sorry, that sounded really terrible and really vulgar. Thanks to the massive sectional taking up this entire wall, we were able to basically hide the cables by routing it behind the desk all around the sectional all the way to the PC. Because of that, we had to purchase DisplayPort cables that were 40 feet long. Yeah, that extra zero is on purpose. But because the PC was over on the other side of the room now, it created a completely new issue. How would I plug in any devices I wanted to use, like a keyboard, a mouse, a microphone, or flash drive? Our solution was actually the same way we solved the display problem. We used a really long USB 3 extension cable coupled with a USB 3 hub to plug peripherals into. And it's honestly worked well. It did make the desk slightly more messy, but better than walking over to the other side of the room just to plug things in, than walking back all the way to the desk. That'd be annoying. And again, this is a gaming and secondary workspace, so we wanted the ability to swap peripherals fast. I finished the desk off with the Orbit Key desk mat, which I think matches the vibe of this room perfectly. Also adds a really cool magnetic cable hook in case I have a cable I need tied down. In terms of peripherals, I don't want to delve into those too much since I swap them depending on what type of thing I'm working on. If I'm playing games, it's one type. If I'm working, it's another. I'll be showing screenshots and stuff right here along with all the names right here, just in case you wanted to know anyway. All right, now let's talk about how I add some ambiance to this setup and make it aesthetic. And that's through lighting and proper wallpaper choice. During the day, it looks like a regular desk, but at night, when the lights turn on, the vibe changes dramatically. Behind this desk is a LifeX Z light strip, which allows me to change the color to anything I want through my phone or a voice assistant like Google or Alexa. But for this room, I'm leaving it as a static warm white. If you're using a Windows PC and looking for great wallpapers, I'd highly recommend Wallpaper Engine. It's a one-time purchase on Steam, but gives you access to a ton of really cool animated wallpapers created by other Wallpaper Engine users. It's great for landscapes, cars, tech, and anime girls. If you're into that, good for you. But for this setup, we're going for a more chill and inviting vibe, so we're picking wallpapers to match that. Lastly, to make this room techie, I added another LifeX Z light strip to the back of the media console and a LifeX bulb in the lamp, just for consistency and using one app to control an entire room. Just like the strip in the back of the desk, these can all be controlled by voice or through the LifeX app. Lastly, this giant blind. It's massive and is usually a huge pain in the butt to pull it up or down. To fix that, I bought this Aqara E1 blind driver. This enables you to control it with your voice, smartphone, or with a single button, letting me easily adjust the blind with minimal effort. And with that, the desk and teching out this room was complete. So, how has this setup been for me? It's been a few weeks, but the desk has suited my needs really well. When I'm tired of working in the studio, I switched to this setup for a change of scenery and vibe. The setup was supposed to be simpler and give off a more naturey, welcoming ambiance than the one I work on in my studio. And I think this desk provides that atmosphere perfectly, because it has fewer things to fiddle with and really doesn't look as dark and industrial. Swapping between gaming and productivity gear is also super easy thanks to the USB hub mounted to the front and this pegboard to swap my gear, which if you wanted to learn more about, you can see my wife's video on this room. Yep, that was another shameless plug. As much as this ended up great, I now want to talk about all the things that I would change if I were to redo this. Basically, this is the part where I tell you about all my mess ups so you don't have to have the same experience building your own ideal desk spaces. Let's start with these standing desk legs right here, right? Most of the known brands like Autonomous, Fooly, or Uplift have standing desks that have the motor sitting like this, flat across the bottom of the desk frame. But this compact cheapo desk frame has its motor sitting up and down, preventing me from being able to push my chair all the way in. This might not be a big deal to you, but when it could block a door, like it does here, it's a minor inconvenience and can get annoying really fast. Also, if you buy super long cables, make sure it supports the spec you're looking for at those lengths. For example, I had a 40-foot HDMI cable off Amazon plugged into the 4K monitor that was supposed to support 4K, but the cable would always act all glitchy when plugged in and did not support 4K at that length. I found that DisplayPort cables at long lengths were more reliable than their HDMI counterparts. So if you're looking for long display cables, I'd recommend long DisplayPort cables. I had more success there, at least when buying off Amazon. Then there's this smart blind adapter thing from Aqara. It's really cool, but technically it's not out in the United States yet, and I had to buy it off eBay and use the European version of the Aqara app. That's really not ideal, and I hope they get a US version made soon, because honestly, it'd be really nice to switch back to the US app and also, you know, have a product under warranty. It was difficult to find something that suited my needs perfectly the way this Aqara E1 blind driver did. Also, when it comes to your monitors, know how big your monitors will be for your desk. This desk is only around 40 inches in length. If I wasn't recycling old monitors, I think I would have gotten 24-inch monitors to sit side by side instead of 27-inch ones with one in front and one awkwardly angled to the side. This chair is also not the best and something I'll have to consider changing out. It doesn't fit the aesthetic of the room or desk setup, and honestly, it isn't even that comfortable to sit at for long periods of time. I really don't know why we haven't gotten rid of them. But if I did get rid of them, I'd probably just end up getting another Herman Miller Aeron chair. And lastly, okay, I guess this is advice for life in general, but plan out what you plan to purchase for that room and plan it out thoroughly. If you just buy things as they come, the aesthetic of it overall may not look exactly the way you hope it to be. You have to take into account everything else that's in the room too, or else you don't want a rainbow puked up setup in one corner while the rest of the room is, I don't know, Texas traditional. But really, that's all the advice that I really have. But yeah, I love how it turned out, and I'm really enjoying using it so far. I hope this video gives you inspiration for your own setups, and I hope you also learn from, well, my own mistakes. It really makes me want to redo my studio setup now. Because now, even though this setup is just so much simpler, it kind of feels nicer to be in, which is the vibe I don't want, because I want the studio to be the one that feels nice to be in, if that makes sense. Anyway, what do you personally think? Did you get any inspiration for your own setups? What are you currently doing for your setup? What do you think this setup right here is missing? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and, well, subscribe, because I may be redoing the studio one now. I'll see you all next time. Bye.